The fire alarm control panel, or FACP, is your main hub, is the brains of the entire system. This is where the main power supply is at. This is where the SLC circuit, or signaling line circuit, is at. These are where your NAC circuits are. This is where you can connect your remote enunciators. You have a few onboard additional relays, your 24-volt power supply. All of these things is what's connected to your fire alarm control panel, in addition to where you could do some front panel programming. Not on all systems, but for this particular system, you could do front panel programming right from the display. Or if you have your laptop and 232 card, plug straight in, make some changes. This is a typical initiating devices. If you see here on the picture screen, a lot of these smokes, heats will also look the same, but what you want to pay attention to, if you can see where my mouse is at, that's indicating of a regular smoke detector. If this was a heat detector, it wouldn't be here. The grill would be a little bit different. You will have lines on the bases to indicate a heat detector. It would be like a gray line around the kitty sign to indicate also a heat detector. So quick indications to differentiate a smoke from a heat detector is how they actually design the two different types of detectors. So now we have a smoke detector that works on obscuration. So there's a laser light, or a light, photo beam, whatever you want to call it, that's inside of this chamber. It's looking at a mirror. So when enough obscuration, smoke, dirt, or anything gets up in the chamber and that light becomes dim, without the sake of all the tech explanation, it's a 2% obscuration, and it depends on how much obscuration over a determined amount of time this detector will go off. So if 50% obscuration happens over 1 or 2 seconds, then this smoke detector will go into alarm. So the more light that's blocked within inside of the chamber will highly either make your device go into maintenance alert, false alarm, or be an alarm event. Now, how heat detectors work, there are two types of heat detectors. We have rate of rise heat detector, which is, it starts at 195 degrees. And what rate of rise means, sort of like the obscuration level within a smoke detector, depending on how hot temperature gets over a predetermined amount of time, that detector will go off into alarm. And then we have fixed smoke detectors that are just fixed at 135 degrees. So if you have some areas that fluctuate in heat, that go up and down with heat, a rate of rise heat detector will be ideal for that particular location, because heat is moving up and down. And if it's at a fixed rate and it goes above that, that heat detector will then go into alarm. You would have to replace that, because that particular heat detector is one-time use. They both are one-time use once it goes into alarm. If you're using the conventional style heat detector, the addressable heat detector will keep going into alarm. Or if it will be stuck into alarm, and you may have to replace it because it got melted and there's no way for it to clear because the contacts are shorted. Here we have input initiating devices. This right here is an MCT2, CT1. MCT will connect to like a secondary motherboard that's out in the field. A GSA or a CT1 will go right into a single gang or a double gang electrical box. These modules connect to non-intelligent devices like water flow switches or tamper switches. That's what you would use these modules for. There are other things out there that you can use input modules for, but for the most part, we connect these to sprinkler or anything that we want to monitor. It could be a fan status we want to monitor, or a damper status that we want to monitor. So these are what we will put to monitor the status of operations. Now we have here a pull station. Here we have the M278 and the M270 are both pull stations, but there are two different types of technologies. The GSA M278 is a dual action pull station. What that means is it takes 2 steps in order for you to activate this one pull station. Where it says lift the handle, that's 1 step, and then you pull down, that's the 2nd step. So now for the GSA M270s, these are what we usually use in New York City. It'll have a white stripe that'll go through it if it's connected to the central station, but we normally use the metal one, single action pull station. You see, you don't have to pull anything up. All you have to do is just pull down, and the pull station goes directly into alarm. So you have dual action and single action pull stations. Here's a duct detector. How a duct detector works is there are 2 sampling tubes that are inside that connect. If you can see where my mouse is at, one tube will go here and the other tube will go here. We will mount that onto the HVAC duct unit. So if it's less than 3 feet, the sampling tube will go to the back of that duct unit, and if it's more than 36 inches up to 5 feet, then we will have to protrude 1 or 2 inches outside of that duct unit with that whole entire sampling unit or that sampling tube. Now, depending on the airflow, they will give you which way the airflow, or you can pretty much determine which way the air is flowing. You will have to point the holes in the direction of the airflow, so when the air is flowing through the ducts, it'll pick up any dirt, particles, or anything like that, and then it will go through that sampling tube that will get into this chamber here. And once this chamber, similar to a smoke detector, gets filled up with enough obscuration, then this duct detector will go into alarm. And where it says alarm here, this light will be solid red. So if a duct detector is an alarm, then that means this guy right here has too much dirt inside this chamber. And you could just unscrew these 4 screws, pull this right out. It's easy. You can pull it out real easy and then just clean off the grill and see if it'll reset after that.